So we talk about stress a lot in our lives. You don't even have to be in the health industry to be having this type of discussion. Think about how just you could be having coffee with your friend or cinnamate or tea, just meeting with moms at the playground. And we are talking about stress. So when I looked at statistics about just how stressed we are, I was even blown away. And these are the most recent statistics I was finding. Look at it, 2019 it says more than three-quarters of adults were reporting symptoms of stress, things like headaches, tiredness, sleeping issues. 80% of our workers are saying they're experiencing stress on their job. 53% of Americans are stressed during the day, with 63% of workers ready to quit their job just to avoid work related stress. So we are not alone. This is across the board. It is not just in your community. In fact, about one third of the people around the world are reporting that they feel stressed, worried, or angry as of 2019. And this is pre pandemic. Imagine what the numbers are now. In 2017, we were seeing that approximately 284 million people worldwide have an anxiety disorder. And I'm guessing a lot of that is tied to how stressed we are. So this is a something we need to be aware of and find ways to address it. In fact, when we are stressed, our body simply cannot easily lose weight. And that's a concept that I've had to discuss with a lot of people. They would come in and they just feel like if they can lose weight, that they would feel better. But they're already so stressed that they don't realize it is kind of counterproductive. In fact, let's look at how the brain works. So there's a part of the brain called the amygdala, and it is, kind of our sensor for danger and stress in the environment. So it picks up the danger and then it tells that hypothalamus, oh my goodness, we might have to do something here. Let's look, do we need to fight or do we need to run, fight or flight? And then the hypothalamus talks to our adrenal glands and it pumps up cortisol and adrenaline so that you can deal with the situation. And so when the body is in survival mode like this, weight loss is the last thing it wants to direct energy towards. I mean, it just can't. Think about, when you're really nervous about something or stressed, your body doesn't digest food as well because the energy is being diverted to deal with things. And then if the brain thinks that we're in danger, it's going to take those calories that it already has in the system and it's going to depend on them to be able to fight off our threat that we're presented with and to keep warm. So we've got higher cortisol, which has your body ready to fight or flee from that stressful situation. And then if your brain is again thinking you're in danger, it results in a domino effect that has those really high levels of cortisol coursing through your bloodstream. Hormones increase your appetite, causes insulin resistance, slows down your metabolism. This causes the body to store fat and calories to help you cope with stress. Because remember, it wants to have that energy to deal with it. So our body was not designed, it has not evolved otherwise to deal with the continuous stress that we subject it to on a daily basis. It was more like the picture here, the animal jumps out, chases the caveman, he runs for his life, and then he goes back to his relaxing moment in time. His cell phone's not going off. He's not having to deal with road rage driving down the road. He's not have to deal with deadlines. Continuous stress is putting our body in a very challenging system. What are we going to do to deal with this? In fact, there's lots of different signs of system overwhelm because I wanted to share this because I have so many people that tell me, well, I don't really have stress, or at least I don't have stress like you do. Well, how can you know if your body's actually in overwhelm? Well, there's a couple different signs that the body will show you. Take a moment, look at your fingernails. Do you have vertical ridges? Do you have challenges getting up in the morning? Like you're just not feeling rested and it's just harder and harder to get up. Do you hit snooze a lot otherwise? Do you find yourself craving salt or salty foods? Do you just not have energy? Is it taking more work than it has? in the past to just get regular everyday things done, just to clean up the dishes? Is it just seem daunting to you? And if that's daunting, libido, shoot, that's out the window. I mean, that's the body's just not interested in it. And not only that, you're finding that things that didn't used to overwhelm you or stress you out now are almost becoming like a hair trigger. It doesn't take much to push you over the edge. Have you found that you're taking longer to bounce back from being ill or having an injury? Dealing with mild depression, PMS, maybe you never experienced it or you only had it mild and now it's worse, or you're dealing with it for the first times in your life. And if you happen to miss a meal, all of or any of these symptoms can be worse. Are you finding it more challenging to focus? Is your memory less accurate? Do you just not tolerate situations like you used to? Whereas, maybe you had that one person that you knew just talks and talks and talks and talks. And before, wasn't as big of a deal. You could deal with it and go on and do what you're doing. But now it's just more than you can go with. And we talked about the difficulty getting up in the morning. Maybe you just don't really wake up till 10 a.m. And then you're kind of having a crash between 3 and 4. But after 6 o'clock and after dinner, you've kind of start to feel better. It's like you get your third win. And so what do we tend to do? We tend to stay up because all of a sudden we're feeling like ourselves, not realizing this is making the issues worse. And with all this, it's no surprise that we end up with decreased productivity. So what can we do to challenge this? Because this is a part of our everyday life. We have to have some things in place to help keep it from impacting our health. So here's a couple different things off the cuff that most people can do. There's obviously more than this, but find a physical release, whether it's walking, stretching, yoga. Some people, they're going to want something more hardcore. Maybe they're going to go running. Maybe they're going to go kickboxing. But let that stress have a way out. Maybe an emotional release, something like journaling, drawing, talking to a trusted friend. Your body's going to try and digest some of these emotions, and it simply can't do it. And so in order to lessen the impact on your health, finding a accepted way to vent and move this energy out is really important. Listen to relaxing music. Eat real food, otherwise know your ingredients, because that can create a stress in of itself if the body's eating, the food that you're feeding it has got synthetics in it. Another one that I'm constantly having to educate people on is keeping your cell phone and your router in a different room than you sleep in. Again, these EMFs or electrical magnetic frequencies is not something our ancestors dealt with. Our body is not evolved to deal with it. And it's very hard on the system. What's one of the first questions that I will often ask teenagers who are dealing with high stress is, where's a cell phone? Because it's not uncommon for that cell phone to be underneath their pillow. And with notifications turned on, then, they're constantly, kind of being alerted over and over again and having that rush and need to respond. I know that I keep my cell phone in a totally different room and the ringer's always turned off. Make certain you're being able to get regular and restorative sleep. Your body has to have a break. Try laughter therapy. Put on a funny movie. Get some of that good release going through the body, stress release, let the energy move, breathe. A lot of people do really shallow breathing. And when you don't breathe properly, one of the side or the impacts of that can be that the toxins are not able to be released like they should through our breath work. So that puts added stress on our liver. Our liver deals a lot with stress and toxins. And so breathing can impact that. And finally, adaptogens. And this is where Soul shines, is with adaptogens. So what impact do adaptogens have on the body? How do they work? So you're going to see with the dotted line here, this is a typical stress response for the body without an adaptogen. And that is that, we have that fight or flight kicks in, we rise up, and then after the body responds, it drops back down lower than where it started up. And it takes a while to rebound. You notice that the stress response, because we do still need to be able to have that response, it just doesn't need to be in high gear all the time. So when we use adaptogens, the body can respond. It goes up to high enough to deal with it, and then it immediately starts to come back down to where it's healthy. Now, remember, adaptogens are renowned for the ability to help bring the body into balance, helping the body to regulate and not, think about it, not getting stuck with the accelerator down all the time on the gas. That's, it helps the body to bounce back from that. And it also, think about when we've been pushed too hard, when we have no response, it helps us to bring us into balance. Either of those are out of balance. So we have several different products in Soul that I have found to be particularly effective in working with stress and helping to bring that, pardon me, into balance faster. And keep in mind that all our Soul products have at least one and some as many as 6 adaptogens in them. Our SoulFit GP, outstanding for helping to regulate that HPA axis, which, think back to the beginning when I was showing you the typical response to stress. HPA axis is part of that, and it helps to bring it so it does not stay overwhelmed so much and impacting the rest of the body and metabolism. Vital is phenomenal because what it does for the liver, what it does in generally with helping the body to flush toxins, what it does with helping the body to deal with stress. I've had phenomenal results using that, and it's honestly, it is part of virtually every program that I start someone on. Renew. I love Renew. It's really important for the body to get restorative sleep or just rest in general. Now, if you really related to a lot of those symptoms that I shared about the body being overwhelmed, what I typically do is I mix the Vital with the Renew in a shaker bottle and sip on that throughout the day because that body's already in overwhelm. So if you use the Renew at night, like many do to help sleep, you would have the opposite effect initially because the body's it's restoring and starting to feed those adrenals, and it kind of activates them, and then you can't sleep. But when we mix it with Vital during the day, we get an amazingly different result, and the body just starts to get restored. And I speak from personal experience. I had complete adrenal exhaustion about 35, 36 years ago. And until I found the Soul products, I still was dealing with the impacts of that. The combining of the Vital and the Renew changed my world, and I've seen it change the lives of hundreds and hundreds of my clients. Adaptable, very, very powerful, strong 6 adaptogens that are also found in Vital, but in a stronger format in the Adaptable, which helping with mood regulation, just general stress across the board. So much so that I have people that will tell me, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This makes such a difference. And like I tell people, none of these products are going to make your stress disappear. It just makes it to where you can deal with it. And then I have AC cream on there because the Soulflex AC is what that is I have found that if people use a dab of that over their liver on a daily basis, it helps the liver to process life better. And a liver, when it gets overwhelmed, can create a lot of anger, and that's no fun for anyone. So using that over the liver has been really helpful. Soul Megas, because when we're running that hard, we are using up fats like crazy for our brain, for just many, many functions in the body. And if sleep is not happening because we have a racing mind, because everything's been burned up with dealing with stress and that overworked brain, then we're not getting that restorative sleep we need. So that Soul Megas can be really beneficial. And then finally, our Compass blends. Those 4 essential oil blends have just been a godsend to so many people. I've often suggested that people keep a set with them at all times. I know I personally have one in every vehicle, each bathroom, and my first aid kits. And I just reach for the one that is speaking to me at the moment and apply it externally, whether it's on my wrist, over the heart area, on my feet. And it helps to deal with the emotions and just help calming. Often people will apply these over their heart or on their feet. That seems to be some of the main places that people have found and that they're, drawn to. So remember, Soul, all our formulas are designed to take a foundational approach. Yes, we can feel symptomatic relief, But with adaptogens, the longer you use them, the more consistent you use them, the better results you get. And because these formulas are addressing the roots or the foundation, we get longer term results. Again, we don't want to just use a Band-Aid and cover it up. So Soul for the Wind it's addressing those roots and helping to challenge the stress issues that might be contributing to your metabolic concerns, so that your body doesn't feel like it's in fight or flight all the time. So it can work with helping to elevate that metabolism and working to balance out the health of the body and the shape of the body the way that you hope.